Hi everyone, Krzysztof the Polish Geek, and today is the day, finally is the day where season 5, the very final season of Stranger Things is here. And so welcome to the review of the first 4 episodes of the final season of Stranger Things, because we only got first 4 episodes of the final season, and then in a month we'll have 2 more, and then the very finale on the 31st of December. What a shame, that did make me very much wish that they did just release the whole season fully, and I understand why can't they just do like that. I mean, yeah, because they want to keep the viewers for their subscriptions, because plenty of people are frustrated with Netflix for understandable reasons. So after Stranger Things is over, they very much are planning to unsubscribe. I'm not one of them, of course not. Steel Ball Run is coming out, there is no way that I'm ever cancelling my Netflix subscription, but plenty of people understandably are cancelling their Netflix subscription. And so to keep the moviegoers, they did decide, with Cobra Kai, to split the season into a couple of parts. So the good thing, we don't have to wait several months, just only 1 month. But so far, I very much did love the first 4 episodes of season 5 of Stranger Things. And is it one of those situations, because yeah, I admit, when I found out that first 4 episodes are gonna come out now, I was actually kinda happy, especially I thought, a lot still will happen, because first 4 episodes are coming, but I was wrong. Did a lot happen? Well, yes and no. Yes, they're very much setting it up for the finale, and lots of interesting, intense things are happening, and I'm so much engaged in that. But at the same time, there was practically no payoff. But then again, that is to be expected. It was kind of a false hope to assume we are gonna get at least some payoffs, because I mean, this is the very final season. Obviously, all the payoff, and we still have 3 more episodes, the longest ones coming up. So it's obvious that almost all the payoffs will be in those very final 3 episodes. So yeah, I was kind of being delusional to assume that we would get even at least one payoff in the first 4 episodes, so it's kind of to be expected. Again, it's the very final season, so obviously they're setting all the payoffs for the final episode. But yes, it did end on a gigantic cliffhanger. Now I just can't wait to wait a whole month for 2 more episodes, and then just a few more days for the very finale, because yes, we'll get to it soon, because overall the first 4 episodes of season 5 is awesome, and if the payoff is amazing, then it will then very much dethrone season 4 of Stranger Things as my favorite season. But so far, again, the first 4 episodes were awesome, but at the same time, it did end on a cliffhanger that very much made me oh my gosh, it's over. Because yep, spoiler alert, no payoff whatsoever. But then again, it's kind of to be expected. Obviously, they are setting all the payoffs for the final episodes, probably the very final one actually. The first thing I will say is that plenty of the things that the creators were saying about this final season are very much true. Yes, they said it will take place in Hawkins, because the previous seasons did kinda leave Hawkins from time to time, especially season 4, that was all over the place. Parts of it were in California, and then even in Russia, Siberia. But yes, it's as the creators promised. Right now, we are back in Hawkins, and all action takes place in Hawkins now. And I think it actually makes perfect sense. After all, that's where the whole story started, so it makes sense to basically round up the story that the first season takes place all in Hawkins, as does the last season, especially that this is where all those things pretty much started, and that's where the true heart of the story lies. So it makes perfect sense now for the final season to be in Hawkins. And they did say that this is gonna be the closest in tone and everything to the first season, which did make me kinda worry when I heard that, because the first season it did kinda feel like much smaller scale than all the previous seasons, and I was afraid that, who knows, maybe they're just gonna rehash it. But I'm happy to say I was very wrong. Yes, objectively, it very much does feel in everything, in scope and in some story beats, very similar to season 1. Very much so. But thankfully, it still very much feels like a worthy final season, and all the story threads coming up together. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. But I will also say that what I love, admittedly, that's actually what's been very much common with all the previous Stranger Things seasons, but I'm still happy they are keeping this formula of characters splitting up and all sorts of working towards the common goal, but from like different parts in the location. Like there is, for example, Hopper and Eleven are in Upside Down and are looking for Mike Wheeler's little sister Holly. We'll get to Holly later actually, because there are plenty of things I have to say about her actually. And then there is Will Byers as well as Robin and Will's mom coming up with the plan. And then there is Dustin Henderson with Jonathan as well as Steve Harrington. So yes, really love seeing again all those characters kind of working at separate locations but very much towards the same goal, and they each all very much kind of come up with different plans, very much relating to what is happening and what they are doing at the moment, and then all those stories meeting up and later converging together. Like, yep, I really love all that. I mean, this is a very much classic Stranger Things, so I'm really happy that the show is very much keeping with that formula. And another thing that I want to talk about, I did bring it up already, and because we've all been hearing leaks and all that, Mike's little sister, aforementioned Holly, will very much play a large role in this story, and I admit I wasn't really paying all that much attention to those leaks because I learned that there's so many different leaks that it's just hard these days to take anything seriously, even though with all the AI and current technology developing, there is a high chance that some of those leaks might actually be true. But then again, there's so many of them that even then it's just hard to pick which ones are true. Again, I generally just stopped following all the theories online and all that because I learned an important lesson that generally just hard to take them seriously. What happens, happens. But yes, we've been seeing all those leaks about Holly and all, and yes, she plays a very gigantic role in this story, whereas in all the previous 4 seasons she was just like a minor character, basically this kid in the background, but now that the actress is grown up and she's kind of like in her pre-teens, or maybe early teens, I don't know, but she's grown up to become an interesting character on her own right, and yes, she's the one that disappears and gets kidnapped by Vecna. This guy stars Mr. Whiteside in his Henry Creel form, and this is actually partially the goal that all the characters are working towards. Of course, find Holly first and foremost, but also to finally defeat Vecna once and for all. So yes, the disappearance of Holly could in some ways be seen as basically a callback for how Will Byers disappeared in the very first season, but now the characters very much know what's going on, they know what to expect, so they are reacting kind of differently, and it makes perfect sense. But what I also love about it is that, without spoilers, I will also say that Will Byers also turns out to be way more important than ever. I mean, he was always one of the main characters with the exception of season 1 where he's practically gone for most of it, but we've all been probably led to believe that Eleven is basically the hero of the story, but while she is still kinda, we could also see that Will Byers could be just as much as the hero as is Eleven, and we'll actually see in the last 2 episodes who really will be the true hero of the story. I could see either one of them being, but yes, Will Byers is more important than ever now, and what I love is how this whole story basically very much is coming full circle, because again, as I said in the beginning, how the creators said that the closest that this season is season 1, and yes, it does very much naturally flow from the previous four seasons, which is good, that's exactly what I wanted from it, but in some ways it does also feel like the story is coming full circle from what season 1 has done, and I think this is really spectacular and good writing, and it's pretty clear to me that the creators of Stranger Things have far better ideas than any fan theories out there that I already said I did stop following at this point. And another thing I have to say, Vecna so far hasn't been much, with the exception of the very final scene, but I gotta say, Vecna now is more awesome and badass than ever. Like, I already thought he had a really incredible design in season 4, but now I actually think that now with likely becoming more powerful than ever, he looks even more awesome. And all the visceral detail on his body and all, yeah, this is some really disturbing, creepy, but really awesome stuff actually. So yeah, I'm really excited to see more of Vecna and hoping for some really awesome epic defeat by him. And speaking of villains, I also have to say I'm really glad Colonel Sullivan is back. Like he was a really evil and despicable villain in season 4, and I was very much rooting him to come back and get defeated. And another spoiler, thankfully, season 5 it very much became a reality, because spoiler, yes, he does get defeated. Although admittedly, it's Vecna who defeats him, which again is kind of lame, because I would rather hope that one of the heroes defeated him, but it's also somewhat understandable. It makes perfect sense in the context of the story, so I'm not really gonna deduce points for that, because that's more of a personal preference. Like, for objectively and story-wise, it does very make sense that Vecna will be the one that defeats him in all the context at all. But we're now moving on to more interesting point, a new villain played by Linda Hamilton, head of the military operation Dr. K. Again, played by Linda Hamilton. We've been hearing that Linda Hamilton is gonna be in this season, although we didn't know much about her role. I guess maybe online they did say who she's gonna play, but I admit, because as I already said, I don't read much online, because I already came to accept that whatever happens, happens. So I did know that Linda Hamilton is gonna be in this season, but I didn't really much pay attention who is she gonna play. But I think that in her role as Dr. K, she was just spectacular, excellent, and she truly put all the heart and evil into her character. Although I do hope we'll see some more of evil from Dr. K, because as evil as she was, it does feel like so far she was kind of underused, but I'm really hoping that in those 3 more episodes, they're very much going to rectify that and give her some more evil to do. And that's one more thing. Now we're gonna come into some of my predictions for what happens in the last 3 episodes, but the first thing I'm gonna say about Dr. K and what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that, though, in contrast to Colonel Sullivan, I'm just hoping that she's not gonna get killed by Vecna or any of the Demogorgons. I'm actually hoping that she's gonna get killed by one of the heroes. Maybe Hopper or Joyce. Like, either one could work, but yes, plenty of the villains already, like Colonel Sullivan, for example, and Dr. Brenner in season 4, have been killed by other villains, like Dr. Brenner by Colonel Sullivan, and now Sullivan himself by Vecna. So I'm hoping that in Dr. K's case, that she actually gets defeated by one of the heroes. Like, I think one of the human villains does deserve to get defeated by the hero. So I'm hoping that that will be the case with Dr. K. And some of the more predictions I have for the last 3 episodes is, and I'm very much also hoping that some of our heroes are gonna die. I mean, it's gonna be very, very tragic and sad, but it's kind of the point. Plenty of characters already have died in that show, although generally basically newly introduced characters dying at the end of the final season, but none of our main cast actually. But now, because this is the final season, I'm hoping that they are very much gonna correct the course and kill off some of the main cast. Don't know whom, although the one I'm betting my most money on is Hopper. I love Hopper. I think he's an awesome character, but I actually think that maybe sacrificing himself to save Eleven or the other kids would be a perfect character arc and conclusion to him, especially that he's deep down is still a broken man who still couldn't forgive himself that his little daughter has died. So him actually dying to save kids, I think, would just be a perfect conclusion and character arc for him. So I'm calling and hoping for that, but I also could see actually like some of the other main cast members dying, like Steve Harrington, or maybe Jonathan, or maybe actually even one of the main gang, like maybe Dustin, or maybe even Mike, who knows. But yes, I do hope and think that several of the characters of our main cast are in fact gonna die. It's gonna be very, and I mean very tragic, but that's the point. And that's another issue I have with modern Hollywood, that they are basically playing it so safe and they're just basically afraid to give the audiences some tears, actually, when killing off main characters. Again, it is pretty tragic, but it's the point. It will make the story not only more realistic and more grounded, but also more tragic, because Stranger Things, with everything that's happened, you can't really call it a happy story. I actually think bittersweet ending with the characters saving the world, but several of the main cast dying would actually be the most fitting ending. So, yeah. I'm hoping that several of the main cast are gonna die, especially Hopper. Again, I love Hopper, but I think him sacrificing himself to save the kids would be such a perfect character arc and conclusion to his character, but we'll see what happens. And what I still also very much want, and that's something that's also been promised, but sadly we didn't really get any of it in the first 4 episodes, but I'm very much hoping that again the last 3 episodes will rectify this as well, is that creators have been promising that we are gonna find out a lot more lore about the Upside Down. Did we really get that? Not really, but admittedly, certainly a lot of the action does indeed take place in Upside Down, and we certainly see the most of Upside Down, and certainly our characters are the most in Upside Down now, but actually learning about the lore and most importantly what it was like before Vecna and all that, yep, we still haven't learned any of that, but I'm really very much hoping for it. I mean, Vecna is technically the ruler of Upside Down and the main villain of the story and the one behind everything that happens, but we know that he's actually not native to Upside Down. I mean, like, he found the Upside Down and then became its ruler, so yes, I'm really hoping that they're gonna explore a lot more of that and we are gonna learn a lot more about the Upside Down. Again, its history, its lore, again, what was like before Henry Creel Vecna took over, so yes, I'm very much also hoping for that. Though, I will say this, I do very much hope that Holly nor any of the other kids kidnapped by Vecna, none of them is gonna die. Like, this suit, I would say, will be basically too tragic, so yeah, I do hope for some deaths and some tragedy, but I'm very much hoping that neither Holly nor any of the other kids kidnapped by Vecna are gonna die. But so far, I have to say, I'm so happy with the first 4 episodes of Season 5 of Stranger Things, although I want more already. Like, again, it did very much end on a cliffhanger and there was practically almost no payoff, sadly. But then again, it's to be expected because, again, I mean, what was I thinking? Like, obviously that this is the very final season, so all the payoffs are likely gonna come in very final episodes and we still have 3 more, the longest ones to go, so I guess I should expect that we're not gonna get any of the payoffs yet. But again, very much love the season and I just can't wait now till December 26th where we are gonna get more. So looking forward to it, but thank you ladies and gentlemen for checking out this review. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you then, bye!